You're watching Cable 2.
Distracted. All right, good evening. Welcome to our June 13th, 2017 Winston-Salem Forsyth County Board of Education meeting. We are glad that you are with us, and we will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by an invocation. If you would please stand and remain standing. Let us pray. Father, we just thank you for this beautiful day that you have given us. And Lord, we lift up and celebrate our graduates as we have come off graduation weekend. And Lord, we just ask that you continue to bless their paths as they embark on new journeys. And today, Lord, we're so glad to be able to share some time with our retirees, and we lift them up as they are also going on new pathways and new journeys, and we thank them for their dedication to this district. Lord, please watch over all of our kids and staff this summer and bring them back safely. Lord, we thank you for everyone in attendance this evening. Lord, we ask that you help us with our discussions and direction as we try to move the district forward. And Lord, in all that we say and do, may that be pleasing in your sight. Amen. Amen. Right, so board members, first we have our agenda review. I do believe we have some changes to our agenda. One, in the discussion items, we would like to remove letter D, the contract for Kennedy High School, and so we will also remove that from the action section of the agenda, which would be letter C. I don't believe we have any other changes to the agenda. With that being said, and those modifications, can I have a motion to approve? Thank you, Mr. Singletary, and second, Mr. Johnson, and all in favor? Thank you. First, I will recognize, so we have our focus on core values of collaboration, and I'd like to recognize Darrell Walker.
Thank you, Chairman Jones, Dr. Emery Board. It's an honor for me tonight to introduce you to probably a face that you've seen around this community for a long time. I've always thought of him as the face of Duke Energy. And so I'm not sure he's paid to be the face, but he sure is the face. And he does a lot for this community, serves a lot of boards, and gives back a great deal. It's my pleasure tonight to talk to you a little bit about the collaboration we have with Duke Energy. And a few weeks back, I'd asked Dr. Emery if we could recognize Duke Energy, mainly because of the working relationship we have is so close with these guys, and in so many different areas of our school lives, and it impacts everybody and everything that we do. And I will start by saying, in the winter months when decisions are really difficult and challenging to make as it relates to school closings and delays, Jimmy and his group communicate with us and send us emails about timing and fronts and things that are going on. And we use that data in part of our decision-making process. So they've been really great about that. Obviously, when we have power outages, fortunately for us, Duke Energy makes the school system, as well as a lot of our hospitals and other government agencies, sort of priority. And typically they are spot on when they tell us the estimated time is going to be at 11 a.m. It's typically 10:30. And so they always go above and beyond to work with us in a lot of different ways. And they understand the importance of our service in that as it relates to serving kids, feeding kids, making sure that we, because our child nutrition department then knows they have to jump through hoops to make sure kids are fed well. They do all they can to get things back up and running for us each and every day, and we appreciate that. But there are two other really interesting things that I want to share with you. And one is, since 2010, we worked a partnership with them as it related to our Energy Smart Saver Incentive Program. And since 2010, they have provided an incentives back to us at the tune of about $481,000. And in that $481,000, we have done 185 lighting projects at 66 sites, and we put in 154 Wi-Fi thermostats. And because of some of those things, this district is ranked in the top 5 in the state of North Carolina as it relates to energy usage and savings. And so we're really proud of that. You know, for a district this size, even though our utility bill is still large, it could be a whole lot larger than what it actually is. And a lot of that's because of our relationship with Jimmy and Duke Energy. So I tonight wanted just to take the opportunity to thank him in front of the general public, as well as our board, for all that he does for our children and our families and our staff each and every day. And with that being said, I'm going to also invite Victoria up. I think Jimmy has a little contribution that he wants to share with us as it relates to our partnership.
Thank you very much, Daryl. Appreciate that recognition. And just Daryl invited me to do this a while back, and very much appreciative of that. We do recognize that, you know, when you get the schools back to just kids back in school, that things in the community and storm restoration tends to go lots better. So we never want to be the reason you can't have school. If the roads are icy, that's one thing, but we want to make sure that you have power. So that's a high focus for us, and hats off to all our operation personnel. They know that, and they focus heavily on that. But in addition to that, I wanted to take the opportunity to make a great announcement about Project Impact. Duke Energy Foundation, one of our focus areas is K through 12 education, and it's actually K through career, so there are other opportunities. But we have a high focus on literacy, and the Project Impact is a great project, and hats off to Reynolds American for kind of getting behind that and working closely with the school system for that program. But I'm excited tonight to announce that Duke Energy Foundation is going to make a $150,000 contribution to Project Impact to fund the Early Steps program. So I just wanted to take that opportunity to make that announcement as well. So thank you. Oh, that'd be great. Yeah. Okay.
And again, thank you, Jimmy, for your partnership with us and this wonderful gift from the Duke Energy Foundation to Project Impact. So we thank you greatly. Next, I'll recognize Lauren Richards for some special recognitions for child nutrition.
Good evening, Chairman, members of the board, Dr. Emery. Thank you for having us. We have a couple different groups of awards that we would like to recognize our cafeteria managers for this evening. The first group of awards are for Breakfast in the Classroom initiatives. We received a grant this year for Fuel Up to Play 60 through the Southeastern United Dairy Council to support implementing these programs where students actually get their breakfast and take it to the classroom, or breakfast is delivered to the classroom. And we had 12 schools receive this grant, and out of those 12 schools, 3 implemented a program that was outstanding and really showed great marks in participation and had a lot of buy-in from the principals, the teachers, and all of our individuals in the schools. And so the first school this evening is Easton Elementary, and that is Shandy Rodriguez. And Easton Elementary, excuse me, increased their breakfast participation this year by 28.2%. They started the year at 56.3%, and they are currently running at 84%. Colin started the year off, Colin Tribby, the principal, with us this year. He walked in, didn't know what we were doing, and he was a supporter from day one, and so we greatly thank him for that. He has been outstanding. We have Joanna McBride from Walkertown Elementary School. Walkertown implemented their program mid-year, and so they've increased their participation so far by 18.5%. They started the year at 26.9% participation, and they're up to 45%. We hope that as that program continues, that number will only continue to rise. Antoinette Gray at Hall Woodward Elementary School. Hall Woodward was already doing a modified breakfast in the classroom program, and they started a delivery model this year with tremendous support from their principal, Selena Tribby. They were already at 69.1%, and by delivering to the classroom, they went up to 87% for an overall increase of 18.2%. And Selena is here with us this evening, and earlier today she sent me a comment saying that Antoinette is a wonderful cafeteria manager. She goes above and beyond for her staff, the students of Hall Woodward. She has an infectious smile that greets students and staff every day, and she keeps students first and always models a standard of excellence for her staff, students, and school community alike. And then we also have Crystal Penn, who is at Kernersville Elementary School. She is not here this evening, and their increase was at 38.5%. They also did a breakfast delivery model. They started the year at 43% participation and finished the year running at 78.8% participation. And Shane sent me a quote, Shane O'Neill, the principal, earlier today, that says the BIC program has been a wonderful program for our students. Our students have been able to start off their school day in the classrooms with positive energy from their teachers, as well as the academic support and enrichment from the moment they arrive on our campus. So I want to thank our cafeteria managers for their support, all of the hours and hours early in the morning to prepare those meals and to serve those and to support those students. Thank you so much. The next set of awards we have are for health scores. And so that may seem like an odd thing for us to give an award for, but over the years, health scores have changed a little bit. North Carolina Food Code has changed. It's become very strict, and we've been faced with a lot of challenges. And so this isn't necessarily about always having the proper food temps, which of course is important, and cold temps, hot temps, sanitation, all of those things. But the managers deal with things like the backflow prevention device doesn't work. There's not adequate candle foots in the walk-in freezer for when they go in to get a box. There's a cracked tile on the floor. And so they're faced with a lot of these challenges, keeping up with everyday maintenance, doing constant safety inspections, communicating with the maintenance staff that has been outstanding to support these schools. And in years past, it used to be that managers could get a ServSafe certification for safe food handling. And throughout the state, you would get an additional 2 points on your health inspection if you had that certification. And so the highest mark you could get was 102 points. That has changed in the last couple of years, and the highest mark you can now get is 100. And all restaurants are required to have someone on site at all times that has ServSafe certification. And if you don't have that person on site, you automatically lose 2 points. And so the fact that we had a number of managers this year that received 100 on their health inspection was an outstanding mark, because it has been quite some time that we've been able to reach 100 consistently across the board. And so we really wanted to take a few moments and recognize them for their outstanding efforts to keep their kitchens to those safe standards for our students. And so we have Jennifer Cooper from Kernersville Middle School, Ginger Laughlin from East Middle, Teresa Hutchins for Smith Farm Elementary School, and she is actually a two-time receiver or earner, I guess, of 100 points. Tony Moser from Atkins High School. Maria Tutterow from Walkertown Middle High. Sandy Spriggs from Griffith Elementary. And we have one more that actually received 100 this year, and believe it or not, we actually received a health inspection on the very last day of school, June 9th. We were not planning that. The agenda was already in, and so Shelby Lippard at Northwest Middle School knocked out 100 on the very last day of the year, so we will recognize her in front of you all in the fall. So thank you very much, and thank you to all of these ladies for their hard work. That concludes our special recognition portion of the meeting. I would just like to take a moment to recognize one of our county commissioners who is with us this evening, Fleming Elamine. Thank you very much for being with us. We thank you. We never want to miss an opportunity to thank our commissioners for they greatly support our public schools, and we appreciate what you do. Next, we have public comments on agenda items. We have one speaker, Rhonda Mays.
Good evening, Chairwoman Jones, the board, Dr. Emery. I am Rhonda Mays, a school social worker serving as full-time release president for Forsyth County Association of Educators. Tonight, I would like to speak briefly on the Career and Technical Education application for 2017-18. The Career and Technical Education program has been of benefit to students in this district. This program provides an opportunity for students to receive their education through real-life experiences. When we speak of the core values of the district where every student succeeds, the Career and Technical Education program increases the likelihood of this happening. This program is student-centered, accountable, it has a history of integrity, it holds high expectations of its educators and students. There is a collaborative relationship within the district as well as the community. It is our hope that this program continues to be available for students in our middle and high schools, that the educators continue to be provided with the support and the resources and professional development needed. Please support this application for the coming year. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes comments on agenda items. We will move into discussion items. First, I would like to recognize Benika Thompson. I believe she will share some information on the Mathematics and Science Partnership Grant.
Good evening, school board members and Dr. Emery. I wanted to begin by saying thank you to Dr. Emery. The day we submitted this grant was a very tough day for everybody, and she really helped out and went outside of her box for us, and she can laugh. It was a day of tears, but we got it in, and graciously we were granted this opportunity. So a brief overview of the Math and Science Partnership Grant. It is a grant geared towards increasing student achievement. Forgive the wordy and lackluster presentation, I know, but I was trying to be informative, but I realize now that's not a good thing projecting out. But increasing student achievement in the areas of mathematics and science K-12. This particular grant proposal is geared towards the secondary, and so we actually went through and applied. Our partners on this grant were NC State University's Science House. And what that means is we wrote the grant for the Modeling Institute. The Modeling Institute is an intensive teacher professional development in which teachers are learning how to teach inquiry-based instruction and do it with efficacy as well as increasing their content knowledge. This grant will support teachers who teach biology, physical science, and chemistry. We have teachers now who are gearing up to leave this summer for the Institute at NC State. They do not pay anything. They're actually paid a stipend, provide room and board, as well as materials in participation. Winston-Salem Forsyth County Schools will be the fiscal agent for the grant. about $540,000 to be exact, and that's just only for a year and a half because the MSP funds have no longer been continued. So we were excited to be part of that last round to receive the money, as well as providing opportunities for our teachers. As fiscal agent, that just means we make sure that all the bills are paid and everyone's compensated, and we keep a ledger of who's participating as well as their hours. The methodology of the Institute is quite intensive. So as they go to the Summer Institute, they'll get the hands-on understanding and more like a lab setting provided by the Science House. When their principals of their schools will also be invited to participate in a 2-day session where they get to see themselves what's going to happen in their classrooms. Myself, as well as some members of my staff, are also going to go in. I failed to say that we are the lead LEA, but we will also have Alamance Burlington, Durham County, Lee County, and Pitt County will also be a part of this round of the MSP. When the teachers return back, there are intensive workshops that happen for them. Again, this is nothing out of their pocket. It's really more hospitable, and teachers really like participating in this low, it's a non-threatening environment for you to learn. There are also coaches who are modeling institute coaches. We have 3 coaches in our district. We're lucky to have 3 coaches who go statewide and they support teachers. They remain in contact with these teachers for the duration of their interest in teaching the modeling methodology. So there's a gradual release when the teachers possess the efficacy to go on their own, and I'm so ad-libbing. Our anticipated outcomes here, nobody wants to hear all word for word, right? Our anticipated outcomes, again, are to increase the student achievement in science. That's what we're focused on. And the modeling methodology, if you will, it makes it more about the kids and how they're engaged as opposed to what we want to tell them in our note-taking and lecturing. Also, we want to work on, because it's no secret that we have science teachers. We're trying to find good science teachers, and we just believe in growing those that we have and making sure that they have what they need to be successful. So making sure that they have that efficacy and the content knowledge that they need to teach concepts that they might not be as familiar with. And again, increasing that depth of knowledge and teaching science. There will be an external evaluator that will use a pre and post methodology to evaluate the teachers and their responses as well as the students. And I just think this is a good thing. We're in grant land, so we've been blessed this year to be awarded many opportunities. And I just wanted to take the time to also thank the science teachers district-wide, because everything that we do, it's based on something, a seed that one of them says, hey, we need to really go after this. And so I'm sincerely appreciative of them for all their input this year. Are there any questions?
Questions? I think that was, yes.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations, great.
Thank you.
Good job. So next, we will talk about the Career and Technical Education application for state and federal funding.
Okay. Chairman Jones, Dr. Emery, board members, good afternoon. We're here to present an overview of our annual application for career technical education. The full application can be found at the website on this slide. We are required by Perkins Law each year to present a plan on how we will use our resources and strategies that we will implement to help us meet our performance standards. There are 8 performance standards, and these standards can be found on that local plan in full detail. Programs and services. Statewide, CTE offers 8 program areas. And we are very proud to say in Winston that we have a comprehensive pathway, more than one, in each of the 8 program areas. Projected activities and priorities. Some of our activities that we're going to be looking at for next school year We continue to support our student organizations, and we provide financial support for our student credentials. Work-based learning opportunities are available in most of our programs. And in conjunction with the Northwest Piedmont Workforce Development Board, our nursing pathway has been certified, and we're currently working on an aviation pathway. This year, we implemented district-wide benchmark tests. We used our 5 high-enroll, low-performing courses to help us improve technical attainment, and our goal for next year is to expand this to include other courses. Plans are underway for us to equip our CT labs that are going to be in the bond projects. And finally, opportunities to expand academies and programs throughout the district remain a top priority.
I had to put my glasses on to see this slide. It's pretty, a lot of things there, but listed there are the 9 program requirements. When we talk about a CTE program, that Perkins Law that Dr. Bynum mentioned has requirements that we have to meet. So those 9 requirements are what we spend the bulk of our time making sure that we're meeting every year for all of our programs. That's what our funding goes to and other resources that we can pull together to make sure those requirements are met. In addition to those, we continue to work with our business advisory groups. Our Chamber of Commerce is really helpful with that, pulling different business partners together. And the main goal of those groups is always opportunities for our students, work-based learning opportunities. So we, through these advisory boards, educate our business community as to our needs, what our students can do for them, and then what those businesses can do to help us with our programs. Another bright spot in our CTE program are our career development coordinators. At all of our high schools, we have career development coordinators, and our school-to-career coordinator at the central office coordinates those folks, and we've gotten ourselves back on a regular meeting schedule where those folks are coming together monthly, talking about topics of interest, things that need to be going on in the schools. We've been in conversation with Dr. Symington to get student services more working together with the CDCs to be sure that we're doing things that are helping students with their career awareness. Many career fairs were offered this year, which is a real uptick for us in that area in particular. So the students get a chance to see things that they don't know what they don't know, so they get those opportunities. We also continue our work with Forsyth Tech, our partners at the post-secondary level, trying to increase our students both their awareness of Career and College Promise offerings so that they can take and earn college credit while in high school, and also the various programs that if we want our students to take, we have to have Forsyth Tech get those approved for us. So we continue to work with that. We've met with some of you earlier to talk about the budget for this year, this coming year, 17-18. We have planning allotments for both our PRC 13, which is our months of employment, what we use to hire CTE teachers and pay CTE teachers. We have a slight decrease there. This next year, we're expecting 2,366 months. And just for quick math, it takes 10 months to pay a teacher. So you can see we have a little over 200 teachers. Our state program support funds have also had a small decrease. Our planning allotment for next year is a little over $705,000. And our federal program improvement funds, we're currently operating and budgeting based on this year's allotment because our next year's has not come in yet. So as soon as we get that, we'll adjust. We're expecting that doesn't fluctuate a whole lot, so we're expecting it'll be in this neighborhood of $817,000. Couldn't have a presentation without a couple of pictures of some events that went on with us this year. So I'm just going to scroll through these and we'll see if we have questions. This one in particular I want to point out, we did have a big activity at the Career Center to showcase all of our CTE programs in February during CTE month. So that's a picture from that. That's just the downstairs. There was also exhibits upstairs at that event. We're real happy to do that, and we plan to continue. And some other things, robot run, and some of our culinary students. And we'll take any questions that you have.
Questions, board? Thank you both.
All right, thank you.
At this time, I'll recognize Paula Wilkins to discuss the 2017-18 Cook Literacy Model School Calendar. And Paula, we want to thank you and your staff for the hard work. It seems like only yesterday that we were talking about the launch of the Cook Literacy Model School, and wow, the year's already gone by.
3 more days.
So,
Well, I've
thank you.
jokingly said that this has felt like the never-ending year that began in March, but we're almost at the end, so we're really excited about that. But Board Chair Jones, Dr. Emery, members of the board, we come before you today to kind of recap a little bit of where we started and where we'd like to go as far as additional support requests for Cook. So last year, when we began our restart efforts, we embarked upon the journey of hiring 53 staff members, which we were able to successfully do, as well as the selection of the new curriculum for the school, launching several new curriculums this year. We also asked for additional extended learning time. That was 10 additional days for the students, as well as 30 additional minutes per day. So if we calculate that time, for most students, that's 180 days with the 30 minutes and the 10 additional minutes. That's about 23.5 days of extended learning time, which I think is really great when we think about equating that in time and additional supports for students. We also launched additional professional development for our staff. We began on July 18th with PD for entire staff, which went on until we pretty much started right around August 16th. With bringing in the students and getting ready for the first day of school. However, what we looked at this year is we had limited opportunities beyond early release days and PLTs for collaboration. Remember, we launched 3 new curriculums, and so we needed additional time to collaborate and think about how are we doing, what was working, what did we recalibrate. We were able to make lots of adjustments, but time was a premium cost for us this year. So as we look towards next year, one of the thoughts was how can we begin to look at the year and embed professional development to support our staff? So one of the things for us last year, we did not get to attend the district kickoff because we were already in school. And so we're looking at this year, how do we create that as a professional development day for our teachers? So to participate and attend Ron Clark the morning and then the afternoon for teachers to collaborate and work together and to do professional development. We are also asking for additional early release days for us. One would be on September 27th, considering we start school early as well, and then on November 8th. And then we always lose that day in February due to snow, and we are asking for an additional protected day for us for professional development. So that would give us 2 additional full days of professional development as well as 2 half days of additional professional development for our staff. So the impact of this change means that we would have 20 additional days instead of 23.5 additional student days for extended learning time. So why, do you ask, do we need this? We definitely want to look at how do we continue to increase our adult capacity. One of the things that is always a constant reminder is we're continuing to learn as we think about our student needs, as we think about the adult needs. And we need time to be able to process how do we best address and serve those in service of our students. So we are launching some teacher leader pathways in alignment with the district to build teacher leaders in our building, more teacher leaders in our building. So we need time to be able to do that and for them to provide professional development support. We also want to look at how do we continue vertical collaboration outside of our PLTs for teachers to collaborate together with grade spans and to talk about how are we providing additional service, what does our continuum for literacy and mathematics look like, and then of course to just recalibrate the work. We know everything that we've tried this year wasn't always perfect, and we had to look at how do we begin to think about things differently based on our student needs and the adult needs in the building. And then just to reflect on our progress. Where are we now and where do we want to go? So that's why we're asking for the board to support this modification in our school calendar for the 17-18 school year. That's all for me. What questions do you have?
Questions for Paula?
Just overall, how's it going?
I think, so I was thinking the other day, this year has just been a humbling year. We came in with a lot of gusto, and I think we're still excited about the work, but we still have a lot of learning, and we still have a lot of growth opportunity for our students. But overall, and what I think we began to accomplish with creating culture and connecting with each other and with parents and with the community, I think we've made some great strides with that.
And as far as teachers, are they all signed up for this year? Are you keeping your teachers?
For the most part, yes. We have had limited turnover. We'll have a couple positions to hire for, but for the most part, we are keeping
People
most
who
of
came on board or staying on board?
Yes, ma'am.
Excellent.
Paula, how are we doing? Of course, you know, we're all interested in our third grade reading. Can you maybe give us a little update on third grade reading?
So preliminary data has shown we've made some progress, great progress with third grade reading. When we calculated looking at only Cook students, last year there were no students who passed third grade reading, and we preliminarily increased several percentages in that area.
Well, Paula, I'll say as a volunteer in their weekly, I've seen a lot of progress and a lot of good collaboration and a lot of good things in the making. And so, thank you all so much. You got a wonderful staff and good people at the school, and who really have a heart for children and really want to make a difference. And so, I appreciate that very much. Thank you.
Thank you. And I just want to say thank you. We saw her earlier today, and I said, hey, you're a little late for field day, but it's great to see you. I mean, she's there sometimes multiple times a week, and it is always refreshing to see her commitment to the children. She works with small groups of students, and she's always excited when she's there. So I want to thank you for always supporting us. So thank you.
I just had one question for you, Paula. Thank you. This looks great, and I support you 100%. The only question that I had was with the early release days.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this would just be Cook.
That is correct.
That will be leaving early. So when it comes to the students, for the ones that have after-school care that sometimes go off of our early release schedule, is there going to be a plan to kind of supplement that time for them?
So we would definitely have to look at an adjustment of how we do early release support. This year we had a YMCA after-school program, but during early release days they did not provide support to parents.
Right.
One of the things that we're waiting on is the approval of a 21st Century grant to do our own after-school support. So I think we'll have more flexibility in how we provide support to parents and students with that.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Additional questions? Good? Thank you, Paula.
All right, thank you.
I'd like to recognize Sam Dempsey to give us an update on the Hill Center consultant contract.
Thank you. Good evening. Dr. Emery, Chairman Cottle Jones, members of the board, and members of the community. We have developed in, I think that's not the right one, Jackie. Sorry, technical difficulties. Yes.
Oops.
Thank you. We have lots of children, 7,600 children with disabilities in the district. We have to have a variety of approaches to work with those children. So what we've done over the last several years, we have developed a grid or a schema, if you will, for specific individual issues in literacy or in numeracy, which is our scientific term for math, and in writing. We're developing the same thing in behavior and in social skills. So across the areas, some of these we can get the materials, do the training ourselves. Sometimes we can get our own people trained as the trainers. Some we don't have that flexibility. We have to bring somebody in order to recertify our trainers or to update the materials or the techniques that we are using. We always look at them very carefully because first we want to make sure that it's rigorously based on evidence, that there's good solid scientific research, that we know it works. We are not going after the high-end economic cost because we don't want to get locked into a system that we can't afford to use over and over, year after year. We also are looking at ones that our folks can do. If it takes 3 to 5 years for a teacher to come up to speed on a particular approach, then that's not very practical for our situation. So what we're looking at tonight is in the area of literacy, and you'll see here as an example, this is for our lower functioning children. So we use things like reading mastery, letterland, text talk, and math reasoning. We have specific individual interventions. And then the same thing in data-driven approaches depending on the classes. So Core 1 or Core 2 classes, MAP core classes, we would use different approaches and different techniques. I won't take your time by going through all of those, but each of these represent peer-reviewed, scientifically validated interventions that we use with our children that are not consumable, that we can reuse year after year. So if we look at this page, you'll see at the bottom of the left-hand side of the page where it says Hill Wrap. Orton Gillingham is a multi-sensory linguistic approach that was developed based on something called the Bowman-Gray sample. It was actually done here in Winston-Salem. It took about 15 years. The original information and data was presented to your predecessors, an earlier version of the board about 30 years ago. And from that, what the various iterations have grown to be, different types of Orton Gillingham. Hill Wrap is one of those. It is one where we can bring folks in that have the expertise, touch base with our teachers, make sure they're on base, touch base with our trainers, make sure they can continue to support the teachers that are using that particular intervention. So the contract tonight really represents our continuing relationship with the Hill Center in Durham, North Carolina, to come in and do another year's worth of training and support. It's about $15,000. Questions?
Questions, board?
I don't
Do you have a comment?
Yeah. Sam, I don't have any questions, but I really do have a comment. I had the opportunity to visit the 8th grade transition over at Lowrance with Lida, and it is just absolutely amazing, folks, the work that Sam and his team is able to put together for some of our most vulnerable students, and to hear stories of students who came to us at a very low functioning level and have them leaving more functional than they would have ever been. It was just incredible. It was a blessing, and just keep up the good work, Sam.
Appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sam. Oh, Lida?
I want to say also, if any of you are ever having a bad day, go and visit the school there. You will come back and you will be so thankful for all of your blessings. And also, we are so blessed to have the staff that we have there. It was an amazing graduation that I saw. And not only that, it is something that will remain in my memory bank for years. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate the feedback.
Thank you, Sam. So I think Alex is going to come forward and discuss with us the Winston-Salem Chamber of Commerce contract.
So good evening, Chair Jones, Dr. Emery, board members. You have before you tonight a new contract for the Winston-Salem Chamber of Commerce. that will extend our partnership with them for the next 2 years, and which is a little different than what we've looked at in past cycles. Reasons for the 2-year include a change in chamber leadership, and so we're going to kind of monitor and see what happens there, as well as giving us an opportunity to evaluate the services that the Winston-Salem Chamber provides to us, and so that we can ensure that the partnership is of value to both us as well as the chamber. So as you may well know, the chamber provides lots of different services, including managing and overseeing our volunteer programs. They help us with some graduation and dropout initiatives, and they certainly help us with the business partners in our community. So it is an invaluable and necessary component of what we do. You heard the CTE folks talk about the importance of that relationship to our CTE folks and giving the students workplace experience and opportunities. And so we are looking forward to continuing our relationship with the Chamber. And tonight we do have Ms. Gail Anderson, President and CEO of the Winston-Salem Greater Chamber of Commerce, and Rodessa Mitchell, Vice President of Education and Workplace Development, with us to share their support for the school district and for our continued relationship. Does the board have any questions?
Questions, comments? Marilyn?
I just have a comment. And while Gail's here, we'll thank her publicly for the passion and that she has for education and making sure that education is an important part of our community, and that the community is aware of how important that is to our community. I just want to make sure that we, with a new person coming on board, that we nurture and develop that relationship like we have had with the past. I know Rodessa's back there, and she's great at that, and she'll do that. But we've also got to make sure that that's something that we put at the forefront, because it is a relationship that has been very valuable, and we need to make sure that we keep that way.
Absolutely. Thank you for that.
Yeah. I would like to second Gail, in particular, her commitment to public schools. And every time I've been on the board, she's out there advocating for schools. She was so involved in getting this bond passed. You couldn't go past early voting and not see Gail out there. But she has always been an advocate for schools, and our community is so grateful for her contribution, and I'm really excited to see what she does once she retires, because it's going to be something amazing. I know that. And also Rodessa, her commitment to our kids has been unwavering and solid, and I really do appreciate how committed the Chamber has been to our kids, so thank you.
Other comments? No, and I will, I think Ms. Parker and Ms. Motzinger said it very well, but we thank you both for what you do for us. So much behind the scenes that we just kind of take for granted happens, and that's just with our volunteers and all the other things, and especially also with the coordination of the bond, which was a big undertaking above and beyond, and that's not included in the contract. That's just doing that because it's something that you do for the community, so thank you. Thank you, Alex. So, speaking of the bond, we have our first contract to talk about tonight for Lawrence Middle and Paisley IB Magnet Schools.
Thank you. I don't think we could have teed it up any better with that discussion about Lawrence there a few minutes ago. But tonight we have the opportunity to approve the contract for the construction of the Paisley-Lawrence project that would allow us to move forward. I want to take just a second, Board, to talk a little bit to the general public about some of the circumstances behind this. It's a little unusual. First of all, today's bid market, if you build anything lately, you know that the construction market is running extremely high. And so this particular project came in about $4.2 million over budget. Hence, that's why we're making a decision tonight, not a few weeks ago, as the board asked us to come back and really dig into how could we cut this budget as much as we possibly can in order not to dip too much into, we have our inflationary contingency funds. So over the last few weeks, with the leadership of Lida Calvert-Hayes, our partnership with our contractor, Colin Moore and Bill Powell, amongst our staff, we are now have cut it about $3.4 million out of this particular project. We've done so without damaging what we feel like is the integrity of the building, because one of the things that we felt was really important is your confidence in us that we were going to build a good, solid building to last in this district, which you're typically used to for 40 or 50 years. And so we are committed to that. We made the cuts as painful as we could without damaging what we felt like would be the integrity of the facility. We brought that back to the board in Buildings and Grounds today. We still are recommending that we use some inflationary dollars, around $700,000. I'll tell you a little bit really quickly about how the inflationary dollars are sort of programmed. We meet with the county. This was also sort of a part of our partnership in understanding what the inflationary rates are in the market today. So that's also a part of their site tech projects, the Parks and Rec. They have inflationary dollars built in. We've had inflationary dollars built into every bond project that we've had in this district. In 2001, the construction market was around $89, $90 a square foot. In 2004, it went to $140 a square foot. In 2001 bond, we came up $13 million short, of which the county helped subsidize it, that we could move forward and finish our bond. In the 2006 bond, we had inflationary dollars built in of around $30 million. Obviously, in the 08, 09, 10 era, during the construction of that, the market was really soft. We had budgeted jobs at 140. They're coming in at 120. We saved some considerable dollars, but we still use the inflationary dollars by reinvesting it back into our community. We added additional square footages to our schools in 06 bond in order to eliminate as many mobiles and pods that we could. We eliminated some, almost 300 mobile classrooms in the 06 bond, used our inflation dollars. We also purchased some land that we're going to be utilizing in this particular bond so that we didn't burden the taxpayers. Since we had it, we wouldn't burden them with additional cost. And so we felt like we've been a good steward of that. We've worked really hard. And I know that it's really difficult for this board to make the decision, mainly because it's so early in the bond. This is the first project out. But what this has allowed us to do is to go back and look at the next couple of rounds of projects coming up. We've already met with the architects. We already understand what we need to do as we move forward. And we're really confident tonight to make the recommendation to approve the contract to move forward on the construction of Paisley and Rance. And I know that our community and our families were as well. So thank you. Any questions?
Thank you, Daryl. Questions, board? No. Finance Committee report. Vice Chairman Barr was not able to be with us tonight. His daughter has a dance recital, so dad duties come first. So Ms. Parker, will you give our Finance Committee report?
I will. We had a short agenda, 2 items, but Mr. Crutchfield enlightened us about the both the Senate and the House proposed budgets, and we looked at all the pluses and minuses from both of those for us as a school district and as and for our educators. There are pluses and minuses in both. He told us that they are hopeful to come forth with a budget in the next week or 2. So we will be hopeful that that all of the positives out of both will be in one, and that we'll have a great budget to work with. But that will be coming out hopefully before the end of the month so that we can adopt a budget. We also had budget and amendment transfers number 7, which we will have in our board book as a part of our agenda at the next meeting.
Thank you, Ms. Parker. Building and Grounds Committee report, Ms. Calvert-Hayes.
Thank you. We did have a long agenda, so I'm going to try to be brief on it and do it as quickly as possible. We started out and discussed plans for Mount Tabor Stadium, which is in our bond, and we had an architect that drew the plans for that, and he was there to go over details on the Mount Tabor Stadium. We also discussed replacing a chiller at Mount Tabor High School. We had to rent the chiller until we could get out of school so that we could keep the kids cool. And now we're going to have to replace that chiller. So we went over that also. We also discussed roofs. I don't know how much you know about roofs, but we had a roof that was installed in 1956, and we also had one in 1958 at Kernersville Elementary School. Needless to say, we got leaks, we got drips, and it's time for us to do something about these roofs. Well, you know, when it rains, it pours. We ended up also having a roof at Southwest in very poor shape also. This one was installed in 1984. So if you know anything about roofs, this one is going to be a little cheaper because it's not quite as bad as the ones that we had in 56 and 58. We're going to be able to use portions of the sealer. I'm not a roofer, but whatever they do on that, so we don't have to go all the final steps on that. And that is not in our bond, but it's going to be funded from the 216-217 Mobile Modular Fund. So we're not taking that out of our bond. We also discussed, and this is something that is very, very important nowadays, is night security and patrol. We normally had that done by our Winston-Salem Police Department, but this year they decided that it was best that they didn't bid this. The Sheriff Department, excuse me, not the Police Department, the Sheriff's Department, because it's all of Forsyth County. But they decided this year that it was best not to bid the job. I think maybe they may need more people or something like that. I didn't get into any of that. But anyway, the low bidder on that was North State Security Group. And what they will be doing, they will be sending someone out, I think it's 2 people if I'm correct, and they will be checking things. And with our new construction, that'll be especially important because we're going to have a lot of machinery, tools, things like that we want to make sure are not arriving at someone else's address. So we feel like that will be a big benefit, and they were the low bidder on that. Also, we talked about Lowrance and Middle and Paisley, which Darrell just went over. And I want to thank our low bidder on that for all the work that they have done as far as helping us adjust prices, going over prices. And they were the low bidder, and that is New Atlantic. And I think we have Jay here. Jay, you want to stand up a minute, and we'll recognize you for all your hard work on helping us save money. Thank you, Jay. Then I was really hoping, you know, I love to sell things, and I was really, really hoping that we were going to get to auction off or to put on the books to be able to auction off a barn. Now, I was excited about that. People told me about it, and you know how I love to sell cars and things. I thought, well, we're going to have a barn. This is big. Well, unfortunately, we had some joyriders that went out by Flat Rock School and drove right through the barn. So we do not have a barn anymore. We have sticks and whatever is left of the barn. So needless to say, we got to trash it. But I did want to let you know about the barn because it was on the list at one time to be able to send that to the auction block. And it was a mobile one too. I mean, you know, it could be moved. You could haul it off. So I had all kinds of plans for that barn. I was thinking of fraternities at Wake Forest and all kinds of things that would enjoy that barn. But anyway, the barn is gone. It is sticks and completely gone. So we can't do anything with that barn. But that's kind of where we are on the buildings and grounds. If you ever want to, you're right, Elizabeth. We win some and lose some. We sure lost that one. It went up in the air. But anyway, if you ever want to come to our buildings and grounds meeting, we have that at 4 o'clock before we have this meeting. It's interesting, and we would invite you to come. And thank you for listening to me go on and on.
I will say our meetings are interesting, but Lyda, your report really just tops it all off. So I may start skipping buildings and grounds and just listen to the report.
Come on by, folks. We invite you anytime.
Okay, so that concludes our discussion items for this evening, and we're going to move right into our action items. We have several on the agenda tonight. First, the approval of the Career and Technical Education application for state and federal funding that Shirley and Bruce talked to us about this evening. Do I have a motion to approve? Ms. Taylor, a second. Mr. Johnson, any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries. Approval of the 2017-18 Cook Literacy Model School Calendar Adjustment. Do I have a motion to approve?
Second.
Okay, so Ms. Calvert-Hayes and Ms. Motzinger, any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries. Contract approval for the Hill Center consultant contract. Do I have a motion to approve? Okay, Ms. Clark and second by Mr. Singletary. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries. Approval of the Winston-Salem Chamber of Commerce contract. Do I have a motion to approve? Ms. Clark, second. Ms. Parker, any discussion? All in favor? Approval of a lease for the Restoration Community Church. Do I have a motion to approve? Mr. Singletary, Ms. Taylor, any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries. Approval of a replacement chiller for Mount Tabor High School. Motion to approve. Ms. Clark, second. Ms. Parker, any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries. Approval of a partial replacement of the roof at Kernersville Elementary School. Do I have a motion to approve? Ms. Calvert-Hayes, second.
Second.
Ms. Motzinger, any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries. Approval of a replacement roof at Southwest Elementary. Do I have a motion? Ms. Clark, second by Mr. Johnson. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries. Approval of the Night Security Patrol Service RFP and contract. Do I have a motion to approve? Ms. Taylor, second by Ms. Clark. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries. Approval of the surplus property. Do I have a motion to approve? Ms. Calvert-Hayes, do I have a second? Mr. Singletary, any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries. Acceptance of the bids and award of contract for Lawrence Middle and Paisley IB Magnet Schools. So I believe a motion by Ms. Calvert-Hayes and a second by Ms. Motzinger. Any discussion?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
before you vote, I just want to commend this board. I think you've done an amazing job of being very careful about this first project. And we know how much care you have that the project is perfect and that it lives up to what the taxpayer wants it to be, but that you also protect the overall package. And I just want to say that this has been a good collaboration. Our incredible staff who've worked so hard to look at the costs, and I appreciate the respect and the fine-tooth comb you've used in looking at numbers here. But I also want to say to our community, this has been a long time coming. And I am very proud that this is the first project out of the gate. It's been removed from past bond issues, and I think all of us are excited about the potential of what is going to happen here, not only for our Lawrence kids, but also for Paisley and the community. So thank you for your hard work on this as well. It feels good to let this first one go, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Emery. So we have a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor? Motion carries, yes. Approval of the appointment to Forsyth Technical Community College Board of Trustees. This, as you'll remember, this came from Ed Welch, the chairman of the nominating committee for the Board of Trustees, and that would be to nominate Dr. David Branch. So do I have a motion?
So moved.
Okay, so I have Ms. Montzinger and second, Mr. Johnson. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries. That concludes our action items for this evening. We have 2 items on the consent agenda: approval of the meeting minutes for May 23rd, 2017, and approval of the general personnel report. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda? So moved. Thank you, Mr. Singletary. Second. Ms. Parker, all in favor? Motion carries.
Thank you for joining us on Your School Channel, Cable 2.